Hello, and welcome to the 100th episode of The Author Switch. Whoop, there goes my hat. Have you ever wondered how you could give your readers an immersive experience? Well, tune into this episode when I'm going to be talking about the author as hologram. Kind of, sort of. Stay tuned.
Are you an entrepreneur, small business owner, or consultant looking to boost your authority, influence, and impact? The Author Switch podcast with best-selling, award-winning author Carma Spence is your answer. Tune in for actionable advice, powerful strategies, and engaging interviews to turn on your author switch and take your business to the next dimension.
The Author Switch.
Hello and welcome to the Author Switch podcast. I am your host, Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, market, and publish their client-attracting books so that they can grow their business. And yes, indeed, this is the 100th episode of the Author Switch. I thought I would never get here, especially after the first year when my computer crashed twice. And I lost like a year's worth of recordings of interviews, but I survived. I came back, and here I am celebrating 100 episodes. And so I thought I'd make it a little bit extra fun and special and talk about the author as hologram. Now, what do I mean by that? New technology is going crazy, right? And there are ways that you can reach out to your audience and interact with your audience that is almost like a 3D experience. And that's what I'm talking about today. So what is a virtual presence for authors? It means to project a virtual presence. It's not a physical, real one. It's a virtual presence as an author. And it's easier than ever in today's virtual world because you can now appear as a bot. You can appear as a GPT. You can appear on video. Video has become so easy. You can do audio events. You can do all these things where you are now in your reader's head, by your voice, by your image, all these things. And you can even have them interact with a virtual you, literally as an AI version of you. It's just amazing what you can do today. And that is how you are becoming a virtual reality author. A hologram author. Okay, so you're not saying, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. No, that's not you, but that's okay. Not yet. Maybe someday soon. Hopefully, we'll see. So why do you want to have a virtual presence beyond the page of your book? Why is that important? It engages readers on a level that makes more of them come to you, makes more of them read your book, if you have more than one book, they'll read more than one book. People love to feel like they have a connection to the author. I like to tell this story. Ray Bradbury is my favorite author of all time. I love everything I've ever read of his, and I haven't read it all yet because he did a flurry of books in his later years, and I haven't gotten to them yet. But I've read his classics, some of them multiple times. And one day, I was going to grad school, and it turned out that he was coming to my school to talk. Thankfully, I had the forethought to write him a letter. So I go to the talk, and after the talk, you can have autographs. So I brought my copy of Zen and the Art of Writing. That's his book about how to write. And I was in such awe. All I could do was go, yes, no, yes. I mean, you had to ask me a question and I would respond. I couldn't come forth. So I handed him the book and he signed it. And then I handed him the letter. About a month later, maybe, my mother calls me. Because on the letter, I'd left my mother's address because I was still living with my mother in between school because my mom lived in California. I was going to school in Maryland. And she calls me up and she goes, I think you got a letter from Ray Bradbury. And I'm like, what? Do you want me to open it? I'm like, yes, yes, open it, open it. I want to. And he he drew a picture. Like he drew, I don't know what the picture was of. He drew a picture and he said, thank you for the letter, and commented on something I'd said in the letter. And it was such a thrill. I mean, I almost feel like Ray Barry's my buddy. Not anymore, he's dead. But it, having that personal interaction with my favorite author was just like, oh. And I had, as an author, I've had a similar, almost a similar experience. I went to an event, I was speaking at this event, and somebody came up to me and said, I have your book. Of course, I was there to sell copies of my book. She already bought it, but that's okay. She goes, I have your book. And do you know how I got it? This is crazy. So at the time, I was in Toastmasters, and word had gotten out in the Toastmasters world that I had written this book, Public Speaking Superpowers. And a person in her club, which was like on another side of the state. So it wasn't like anybody from one of my clubs knew me and just, they did a speech based on my book. And she loved the speech so much, she went out and bought my book. And she was just thrilled that she's now getting to meet the author. Me, little old me. It's just me. It's, there is a thrill in meeting an author, even if they're a small time author. I love going to author events. Now, part of it, some of these authors I meet, I will never read their stuff. They just don't write stuff I'm interested in, but they're interesting people. I love authors. Authors are awesome. Authors are awesome. And our readers are awesome and they love to interact with us. So if you can give them different ways to connect with you without taking up all your time, because you can't go traveling everywhere and you can't sit on Zoom all day long, these virtual experiences can give your readers that connection they seek without driving you crazy. Let's put it that way. So, what is the role of virtual and augmented reality? Now, I did a little bit of research on this, so I am looking at my notes because I don't want to get any of this information wrong. Nonfiction authors are increasingly using augmented reality and virtual reality. I've talked about this in a previous podcast. I will put links in the show notes. And you're using it to create more immersive experiences for their audience. It enhances the storytelling experience. And there's all these emerging technologies, AR, VR, often powered by AI. let's just go to Alphabet City here. And they are transforming how readers engage with nonfiction and fiction content and offering new ways to convey this information, evoke empathy, and bring stories like the ones I just shared to life. So here's a little bit of a review. There's more information out there. This podcast, I literally had to whittle down my notes from 10 pages to, I think it's 5 now, because there's just so much. There's so much I could share. I could probably do an entire series on this topic. And if that interests you, if you would like me to do a series on all these new technologies and how they can help you engage with your audience, please let me know in the comments and I will, if enough people say raise their hand, I will do it. All right, is that a deal? It's a deal. Okay. So there's interactive learning environments. Oh, this is really cool. So I had a conversation with a startup company. They are creating something that's like a gigantic custom chat GPT, not a custom GPT, but like an actual like chat GPT that is trained only on your content. And then people can interact with it. And they gave me access to one of the authors, their GPT. Apparently they give it out for free anyway. So it wasn't like I was hurting the author anyway. This author just happened to be a Catholic deacon and he has several books out. And so he's trained this AI on his books. And you can go in and just like chat, you can ask questions about the content in the books. for hoots and giggles, I asked about confession, and it gave me really good advice. I was like, wow, this is really cool. I want. It's a little expensive right now, so I'm sorry. I would love to create this for you, but I can't. But that doesn't mean I won't be able to in the future. And I am working on some custom GPTs that are trained on smaller bits of data. So keep an eye out. I am releasing custom GPTs to my audience that help them do various things trained on my books. So there you go. And that's another thing you can do. You can do that too. It's not that hard. It's really way easier. Once you like understand what to do, it is way easier to do than you thought. And by the way, if you become a member of my book marketing club, which will be launching in the new year, 2025, I will be teaching some of this stuff because it's high end, awesome stuff. Yeah. Anyway, so autobiographical VR stories is another way to use this thing. Some creators are using VR to tell, that's virtual reality, VR to tell their own stories in immersive ways. And here's something really cool. Oscar Raby or Raby, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. He created this virtual book called Ascent. And it uses graphical, gaming, VR experiences to tell the story of his father's experience during the Chilean dictatorship. So it's like it's immersive. You can go in and you can experience what his father. It's is that crazy? It's not so much. It's a biography of his dad told with VR, so that you can interact with it and experience what it was like to be his father. And it's considered one of the first 3D documentaries ever done. It's pretty cool. I haven't experienced it, but I've read about it. It sounds really cool. And you could do something like this too. You could, depending on your content. Now, there are some challenges and considerations when using VR and AR. I'm just going to summarize some of the top level ones that you need to think about before jumping into this realm. Yes, I use the word realm, just like I'm learning from ChatGPT how to talk. I can delve and go to new realms. Karma. Anyway, first you need to ensure the authenticity of real world events and perspectives when you're putting them into these things. You need to be very careful how you train the technology because, we all know AI hallucinates and will sometimes tell you things that aren't true because it thinks you want to hear them. Thank you. That's not what I wanted. Okay. So that's something to be concerned about. And the thing is when your readers go into these almost 3D experiences, they're going to experience it as real. So if you're lying to them, this is not good. This is not good. Balancing immersion with factual accuracy and journalistic integrity, which is what I was talking about before, addressing potential ethical concerns and by manipulating users' perceptions. Now, most of the people who are watching this, you're probably not going to not concerned with this because you're teaching them business stuff, right? You're teaching them like things that don't have all that nuance. But if you are, be careful. Just be careful. And then, of course, you need to overcome the technical limitations and ensure that there's accessibility for your readers who may not have the same abilities as everyone else, not to mention how much it costs. I mean, like I said, I would have loved to leap all over that AI program, but it was a hefty price. And my business just isn't at the place where that would justify it. The benefit that my audience would get and the money I would get for it didn't match up. It didn't make much sense. But again, there are cheaper ways to do these things, so you can still think about it. So that is the potential. Next two topics I want to talk about are technical challenges and the psychology behind virtual experiences. And then, of course, I'm going to talk about author strategy. So let's cover the challenges of a virtual presence and then we'll go on a break, right? Okay. So there's poor audio video quality. Some people will forgive you for that, But there are some places where you can't do that. So this is one reason why I invested in this lovely, beautiful, this and the fact that my lovely, beautiful microphone before died. And this was really not that expensive, but boy, does it give really good sound. I really like it. I really like it. So there's that. So how do you address poor quality audio and video? You invest in good quality microphone and a webcam. If you're lucky and have a MacBook Pro, it comes with it already built in. I love the quality of the video I get from using this MacBook camera. It's fantastic. You want to ensure a stable internet connection, especially if you are doing something over the web. Like when I do Zoom calls, I was on a Zoom call earlier today and I noticed I was going, that's not going to work for this sort of virtual experience. So you want to make sure that your internet connection is solid. If you can plug it into the device you're using, so much the better. You want to test your equipment before important meetings. And of course, you want to use noise canceling headphones or minimize background noise. There's a software called Crisp, K-R-I-S-P, that I often use to help get rid of some of that background noise. It's really good. I use the free version right now because I don't use it all that heavily. But as soon as I start using it, it's a really good program. I really like it. I'm not an affiliate, so K-R-I-S-P, Crisp. There are technical glitches. They will happen. Not always, not all the time, but they will happen. For example, I've been having a lot of issues with the sound, my sound quality, ever since I upgraded my computer to the next OS. And I'm like, you're supposed to be better. Anyway, and then of course Zoom, if you're using Zoom, how many times has Zoom glitched on you? Oh my gosh. And Facebook? Oh, don't even get me started. Glitch, glitch, glitch. These things happen. And then sometimes they work 100% smoothly and wonderfully, and I can't tell the difference what's different. So there you go. Just be prepared for it. Keep your software and operating system updated. Have a backup plan in case things go wrong. For example, whenever I have slides when I'm speaking, I always have printouts just in case the slide doesn't work very well. I can hand out visuals. Always have a backup plan. Familiarize yourself with the various features of your virtual meeting platform. For example, I've recently invested in Ecamm. It's got quite the learning curve, so I'm not quite using it when I'm live yet because I'm still trying to learn it. I want to get the glitches out. If you can, have IT support on standby for critical meetings. Next thing are the logistical challenges. These are like time zone differences. One way you can combat time zone differences is by having a replay. Or you can have meetings at different times of the day so that different segments of your audience can participate with you live depending on when the meeting is. Or you can just establish core business hours and just that's what it is. Now, sometimes you have the luxury to do that and sometimes you don't. For example, one of my mentors is out of Vietnam and he's like half a day ahead of me. Half a day, 12 hours ahead of me. So we usually meet when it's his nighttime and my early morning. But it's worth it to we both make these little concessions to work together because we're making a great team. He's really helping me a lot. Anyway, so those are some tips to combat time differences. Workplace setup. Now I want to tell you something about this. This is real. This is actually real. That is a real fireplace. Right behind this chair is a wood stove. This is the basement. And this is where I am. So before, if you watch earlier videos where these two baskets are, there used to be a laundry basket with all my blankets because I sleep in this chair because I have various health issues that I have to sleep sitting up. And my video coach said, can you get rid of the laundry basket? So I bought these pretty lovely baskets, and the same things that were in the laundry basket are now in this lovely baskets. So I worked on my backdrop. it was her idea to get these cool lights. It really adds oomph. It makes it look really pow. Woo. Now, unfortunately, I can't do much about this. This is my husband's desk. And every time I cover it up with fabric, you'll see that fabric right there. He puts more stuff. He puts more stuff on top of the fabric. Yay. I give up. Hopefully you're not paying attention to that part of that background all that much. Now, you see these 2 pieces of art. I bought this one right here, that says right, specifically because I talk about writing. So I went to Amazon, I bought it, and I put it up there. This other one over here, there, that I designed using AI and Canva. I used ChatGPT. I said I had to go through like 5 different images before I found one that really talked about what I wanted to do. But that's sort of an impression of a dream I had, in which Frankenstein's monster told me, if you don't inspire, you expire. And that's what that says. You can't read it. I'm going to have to do another version of it where the words are bigger. But again, that's my motto. So it's there. So everything in my backdrop that I intentionally put in there enhances or is connected to my business. In fact, you may notice this guy right here. You probably didn't notice. That is a 3D dragon peeking out around. I love him. I love him. He's kind of steampunky, and he's made from a 3D printer, which is pretty cool. Anyway, so set up your workspace so that it looks as professional as you can get it. If you can do it better, yay. Some people have, if I could put a green screen behind me, I could do the green screen really well. Right now, I just don't like the way it turns out. It always makes because I have really curly hair, it's always like, looks like my hair's coming and going, like I've got Medusa hair. Yeah. Green screen doesn't work that great. And of course, if I'm wearing green, then I'm just a floating head. Oh, you don't want that. So just be mindful of your workspace. And then, of course, there's the engagement issue. When you're virtual, when you're interacting with your readers via video or Zoom, you're not going to have visual cues. So use video. Don't do audio unless it doesn't matter. I understand that audio events on LinkedIn are really hot, so you can experiment with it. And what's nice about audio things is that people will participate even while they're driving. They shouldn't be doing it while they're doing video while they're driving. And then, of course, is maintaining attention. In a webinar, you will notice that they'll say, drop something in the chat, do this, do that. That is so that they maintain engagement with you, with your audience. One more thing, building rapport. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to build rapport via video, but sometimes it's not. It depends on how many people are attending. But you can allow time for small talk before or after the meeting. You can use icebreakers, things like that to build rapport with your audience. After the break, I'm going to talk about common pitfalls, and then I will go into the psychology and end it all up with things that you can do to use these technologies to engage your audience. I'll see you after the break.
In a world teeming with thoughts and opportunities, one writer embarks on the most daring adventure of all, to turn a momentary idea into a book that will grow her business exponentially. With the right roadmap in hand, our heroine sets forth into the unknown, determined to navigate the labyrinth of her expertise, knowledge, and wisdom. Through treacherous terrain of tangents and the forest of ephemeral ideas, she plots a course true and clear, each chapter a step closer to the treasure of a completed manuscript. Guided by the methodology within All You Need Is the Right Roadmap, our intrepid author learns to navigate these challenges, transforming them into stepping stones toward her goal. In the end, the map she's created is more than just an outline. It's a custom-tailored roadmap guiding her from the chaos of ideas to the clarity of a book that's ready to be written. Your journey begins with a single map. With All You Need Is the Right Roadmap, discover the art of the perfect outline. Go to Amazon.com and embark on your quest today.
Hello, and welcome back to the Author Switch podcast. I am your host, Carma Spence, and This is the 100th episode of The Author Switch. Woohoo! Aren't we having a good time with the party hat? 100th episode, yay. All right, let's get back to normal. There you go. My name is Carma Spence, and I help executive coaches, business leaders, and consultants write, publish, and market client attracting books. And today we are talking about the author as hologram. Before the break, I talked about what is this whole topic I'm talking about. I talked about why it's important to go beyond the page, especially these days. And I talked about the role of virtual reality and augmented reality, as well as some of the technical challenges you could experience. And now I want to talk about overcoming some pitfalls of using these new technologies. One of the key things is to match audience energy. So what you want to do, and I do this too. It's like, for example, when I'm doing my Coffee with Karma episodes, that's my other podcast, I will often grab this mug, and by grabbing that mug, I'm ready for the day, and I start the episode with a song, and that gets me into my high energy. When I'm doing the author switch, again, before I get on camera, I pump myself up and I get this energy, and this is me, this is how I am, but I could be really, really tired right before I record it, and I need to call in that energy, because the higher energy you have on video, it like pushes the energy out. Here, let's pretend we're on 3D. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, maybe that was weird. Well, that's my nickname. So you want to pump yourself up, tap into that energy, and hold onto the energy throughout the experience that you're giving your readers, because video dampens the energy. If I were at this high energy and you were right here in the room, you'd probably be flat against the wall going, whoa, Karma, take a chill pill. But on video, you don't experience all of it. I have to push some more energy to really bring it up for a video. You also want to use dynamic speaking techniques to grab and hold attention. So that's why sometimes I talk low and sometimes I talk high. I get closer to the microphone. I get farther from the microphone. These are all things you can do to make it more engaging, have things moving around all the time, that kind of stuff. Don't rush to your slides. Allow there to be time with you full screen. And in between moments when the slides aren't needed, put them down. Again, the more full screen time that your audience gets, the more they feel like they get to know you. Reading from notes and slides. All right, there is an art to reading content. I don't actually have a script here. What I have are bullet point notes that I want to cover, and occasionally some keywords that I need to say so that it makes sense. But I'm not actually reading. I mean, I read reading from notes or slides, but I didn't read anything else from it. You don't want to sit there. If everything you're saying is on your slides, you're doing your slides wrong. You should be riffing off your slides. It is better to be more natural and have the information. You know your stuff. You know your stuff. You don't need to read a script. Just saying. And then finally, I don't know if you've noticed, but I gesticulate a lot. That is okay on video. That is totally, totally okay on video. You want to do that because that's how we speak naturally. If you were in the room, I would be doing this. I would be doing this. And that's okay. And by having these different things going on with your gestures, with your voice, that's just as important in virtual speaking as it is in in-person speaking. You just do it a little bit differently. It's kind of like when the silent actors had to really act because there was no sound. Once they had sound, they had to tone it down a bit. Different modalities of conveying information require different levels of activity and energy. Video requires a bit more energy than you would have in person. So what is the psychology of presence in the digital age? This is a complex and evolving field. We don't know everything yet because it hasn't been around long enough yet. But there are some things that we've kind of figured out. And when I say we, it's not like me. I haven't been doing this research. I mean, we as the human race. Okay. First is understanding what it is. Virtual presence means being there without actually being there. So you're watching this podcast. While you're watching this podcast, I'm not there. I'm not on video with you. I may be like traveling. I might be eating dinner. Who knows? But I'm not interacting with you, but you feel kind of like you're interacting with me. Because it's video. You get to see me, you get to see my eyes, you see my mouth, you see my expressions, you see my gestures. You see all those things and you experience it almost like I was in the room with you. So there's various factors of digital experience that you should consider and be aware of. One is immersion. That's the degree in which your readers feel absorbed in the digital interaction. Now, some technologies help give them more immersion than other technologies. Like when you're watching a video, you're probably not as immersed as if I gave you a 3D experience. Or even if I gamified the video, that would be more immersive. The other one is interactivity, the extent to which readers can participate and influence the virtual experience. There is new technology coming out where I could have made this video interactive, where the video would stop. I'd say, now answer this question. And then a question would pop up. You'd answer it. And then depending on your answer, a different part of the video would come up. I have not played with that software yet. I don't have access to it yet. But I've seen it in action and it's pretty spiffy. It's pretty spiffy. And that's probably something you could look into to create a more immersive experience with your videos. Social presence, that's the feeling of being with others in a shared virtual space. So that's why you have people comment on your webinars. That's why you have people comment on your Facebook lives. That interactivity, people see other people commenting with little likes, little hearts, and all those kinds of things. They feel like, I'm not alone experiencing this video. And of course, there's emotional engagement. That's the ability of the digital interactions to evoke emotional responses. Again, some are better than others. I've had some very interesting comments on my YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll read them 5 times and still not understand what they're reacting to. So they're obviously having some sort of emotional response to something I said. So I usually don't comment because I don't know how to. So if you leave a comment on this video and I don't respond, it's because you left a comment that I didn't understand. Just saying. So how does all this that I've covered in this episode impact your strategy as an author? Well, first, the more you can leverage immersive technologies to get your messages and your educational information out there in the world, the more engaged your audience is going to be. And you will probably reach a segment of the audience that you can't reach now. A lot of these technologies allow you to personalize and target the engagement. It can even be something as simple as your email program sending out to specific people on your list based on certain activities they've engaged in. There's the consistent cross-platform presence. And I've actually talked about this for a really long time. It's one of the things I mentioned in my book, 57 Secrets for Branding Yourself Online. You want to be everywhere, but you want to be recognizably everywhere. So wherever you are, now okay, let me dial that back a moment. You don't need to be on every single social media platform. That would be crazy making. But every single social media platform that you're on, your brand should be clear so that when your readers find you on Instagram, they recognize you because they've interacted with you on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or YouTube. It's all recognizably you. You've got the same branding. Your images should be from the same shoot. They should all look like you. There you go. So you want a consistency of visual information across your platforms. You also want to balance authenticity with automation. It's really easy to go crazy on all this automation, especially with all the AI stuff going on, but you have to be human. You have to be human. In fact, I was talking to someone the other day where they were talking about one reason why they have followed me for so long is because it's me. They feel like they have a connection to me. I'm not automated. I'm not throwing bots at them. I'm not hiring people who don't know my business to interact with them. They get to interact with Carma. And that's part of what makes my business what it is. It's because I like to work with my clients. Imagine that. I actually do. And I mean, I suppose at some point my business might grow to the point where I will have to outsource some of this, but you better believe that because bespokeness and high touch is such an integral part to my brand, those people who will interact for me are going to be highly trained to maintain my brand integrity. Whatever your brand is, consistency. When you can create interactive content, do so. And it doesn't have a lot of this stuff doesn't need high tech. You can ask polls, you can do Q&A sessions, you can do collaborative storytelling projects. You can increase reader engagement and strengthen a sense of presence through these digital interactions that aren't necessarily automated, but still have them interacting with you. And focus on your super fans. When you find a super fan, they are gold. Love on them as much as you can. Give them perks. They don't have to be expensive perks. They don't have to be, I mean, honestly, I am a super fan of Ray Bradbury, and all he had to do was sign my book and write me a letter. It's like, it was a low bar. Your super fans love you. You can do little things for them that will just feed that fire of super fandom. And why you want to focus on super fans is because super fans are more likely to find fellow fans. They spread the word. They are your evangelists. You want your super fans, love on your super fans. And you want to leverage video and live streaming because these things help increase interactivity or the impression of interactivity. So what are the challenges? I'm going to end on some of the challenges and how you can overcome them. There's such a thing as digital fatigue. So you want to keep them to a certain length. Like, for example, I try to keep these podcasts to about half an hour. I'm a little longer this time. Maybe in editing, I'll cut some of that stuff out and maybe I'll get it down closer to the half an hour. I try not to go over an hour. I know some people can handle more than that. Joe Rogan has 3-hour episodes, which is probably one reason why I don't listen to him much, because I can't sit still for that long. Half an hour for me is about my, and even then I get itchy. So keep in mind, what's your digital fatigue threshold of your audience? Be aware of privacy concerns. Make sure that you are in compliance with all these laws about privacy. And of course, there's always technological barriers. Not all readers have equal access to or even comfort with digital technologies. So use a variety. Yes, you might want to have a funky AI bot that some people are going to love, but also have a book. Your good old-fashioned book. That works too. And of course, you want to maintain your boundaries. Like I said earlier, it's like you want to interact with your fans and keep that relationship going, but that doesn't mean you invite them into your home for dinner. You might invite some. Who knows? But in general, that's not what you're doing. So I hope you found this episode helpful and interesting. I know I had a lot of fun researching it. So I will see you next week. This is Carma Spence saying ciao for now. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Author Switch podcast. If you enjoyed today's show and want to support its mission, here's how to help. First, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your engagement helps my channel grow and reach more aspiring and established authors. Your ratings and reviews are invaluable. They help me reach more listeners and continue delivering top-notch content. To catch up on past episodes, including those no longer available on podcast platforms, visit authorswitch.com/episodes. There, you can choose to watch or listen to your favorite episodes at your convenience. If you'd like to show additional support, consider dropping a tip in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/Carma Spence. Your contributions help keep the podcast running and are greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a part of the Author Switch community. Until next time, keep writing.